Hey, I'm Petros, and I've been hearing some complaints lately that video games just cost too much damn money. But is this really true? Are we getting the right value for money? Or is it just a bunch of people whining and bitching about shit? Because that happens a lot on the internet, let's be perfectly honest. Don't do it on my comment box. The average console video game costs about $60 upon release. After that, when they become used, they start to become about $40, $20, and if they're really, really shit, they don't get bought at all. I remember for a while I worked in a video game store and saw multiple games that were pretty brand new and were actually dropping in price for a while because they just weren't selling that well. 3DS games cost about $40, console games cost about $60. Then you've got games on Steam which often come up with sales and go crazy low. I mean, I think I got Skyrim, the Ultimate Edition, for $2. I can see my DP's eyes literally like was popped out of her skull when I said that. But then you've got games on the App Store which are free or they are free to play. Arcades were in a single place. It was basically a social activity. You go to the arcades with your buddies, you pay 25 cents every time you want to play a game, you play some Donkey Kong, some Pac-Man, and if you played 100 games, it'll still only cost you 25 bucks. But if you're buying a console game and it costs a bit more, then you can play an unlimited amount of times. Arcades were pretty fun, but unfortunately you couldn't take your arcades home with you. Unless you were extremely rich or had incredible back strength. And gaming, of course, at the time, as I've said before, was based towards a more casual audience. With the rise of the video game console, game prices tended to change though, however. Since 1985, video games have kind of been around about the $40 to $60 level consistently. They were around about $50 for an NES game in 1990 when the Super Nintendo was coming around, and they're still only about $59.99 now, so about $60. If you take $50 from 1990 and convert it into 2015 dollars, it becomes $90.99. That is way more than the $60 that it costs to buy a video game nowadays. So technically speaking, the cost of games hasn't actually gone up, it's actually gone down. But what does this mean for the video game industry at large? Apps are so ubiquitous and easy to get their hands on that 99 cents seems like nothing. It's buy a game, 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 buy, and then you end up with a whole bunch of games that you never play. I have way too many games on my phone that I never play. I actually got a 64 gig iPhone just for that very reason. Ironically, some of those games I already own on consoles, which are far superior on the consoles because they actually have buttons.
Why would you pay for them on your phone then?
Because I'm an idiot. Now, of course, new things have arisen like free-to-play and freemium. Free-to-play games are based on ad revenue, so they can raise money through Google Play and stuff like that. And freemium games control the flow of how much you can play the game by allowing you to play more and stuff like that. Like, you can buy more crystals or whatever to play the game a bit more. To keep costs down, things have changed around. Like, the PlayStation creates CDs for gaming, which meant that games like Squaresoft's Final Fantasy VII would jump ship. Now I want to talk about something else. DLC. Has DLC really affected the price of games? Not up front, no. But it has become a sneaky way, and a legitimate way, for companies to make some money. Because if gaming prices haven't changed adjusted for inflation, but the cost of making those games has gone up, gaming companies have got to find a way, without screwing over the consumer too much, because of the loss of revenue, because game prices are actually technically so low compared to what they used to be, they've had to enact some weird shady policies sometimes about cutting content from game or locking on the disc, leading to the pejorative term of DLC, disc-locked content. Do we get our money's worth with the game, or with DLC? Mario Kart 8 was a full game. It had 4 cups with 4 tracks each, and then another 4 retro cups with another 4 tracks each. The Mario Kart 8 DLC was really, really good. For a good price, you got new characters like Link and the Animal Crossing people, plus you got 4 new cups from 2 different DLC packets. And you got loads of different courses to play with, so that was a package well worth it. Then you've got games like Disney Infinity and Skylanders, and even the Amiibo at times, where they kind of sell you the game at full price, and then make you go and buy all the little figures which cost you even more money. It's kind of this weird thing where I kind of like the idea of having this physical figure that you can play with and like your kids can play with this, but then you've got this weird thing where it's like, oh my god, this is costing me so much more money than it normally would. Now, there are also some great things where they'll cross it over onto one thing into another, like you'll have Skylanders that will work in the previous game will now work in the new game, so you won't have to buy necessarily all the new figures. But at times, it kind of feels like they sold you the car, but they didn't give you the engine. But the big question is, are you getting value for your money? Now, of course, there are different game genres that you spend different amount of time doing. For example, the average role-playing game, whether it's from Japan or it's from the West, usually takes about 60 hours to play a good, solid game through. Now, of course, I've spent a good, 300 hours on Xenoblade Chronicles, several hundred hours on Final Fantasy games, Skyrim, I've got literally a few hundred hours on Fallout. Oh my god, I have wasted so much of my life doing this. What is wrong with me? If a game costs $60 and you play 60 hours of it, you're paying about $1 an hour. Is that worth it? Probably yes, I'd say that. So when you compare that to movies, where you're spending $16 for about 2 hours worth of content, and then of course you've got the casual smartphone games, which you may end up spending 10, 20 hours playing some of those games. But of course, RPGs aren't the only AAA titles out there. You've got platformer games and FPS games, all of which have different varying lengths. Like, if you're playing an FPS game for the campaign, $60 for a 4 to 8 hour campaign, that's not really worth it in my opinion. But if you're going to play the multiplayer for the next year, and you invest about 100 hours into it and break a damn controller like my cousin did, then yeah, pretty much, it might be worth it. Although, then you have to factor in the cost of the controller as well. But then it comes to a real question here. Is gaming even a cost-effective industry anymore? Like, can game developers really even develop games anymore if they're going to be costing so much money? You get games like Destiny, which cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and then don't make their money back. At the end of the day, this is a business. Gaming companies aren't just there for your enjoyment, they're not just making things so that you can enjoy playing a video game, they've got to make money back off this. If they're investing money into something, they've got to make their money back off of it. You have online RPGs, for example, which sometimes have subscription models, but are now switching more to free-to-play with microtransactions because that might be more cost-effective because people don't want to be paying $15 a month for a game, for a single game. Especially when something like Netflix, you pay $8.99 a month, and for that price, you get as many movies as you want. It's not the same if you're paying $15 a month for the same game. No matter how big and awesome that game is, the value for money is just not quite there. Now, there have been games like Guild Wars 2 where you just buy the game and they release new expansion packs every few months or so. Unfortunately, for a lot of games, it's just not worth it. Free-to-play has become actually more effective because people are more likely to spend more money on microtransactions than they are to play on actual games. As an example, there's a game I have on my phone right now, Final Fantasy Record Keeper, which is free to buy, and I think on the microtransactions, I've probably spent somewhere close to $40 on it at least. That is minimum, I'm talking here. Have I enjoyed every second I've played this game? Absolutely. Is it a worthy game? Absolutely. I've really enjoyed it. So that's really up to you if you think it's worth paying that kind of money. But I'm actually glad that I could get that game for free and decide if I want to play any more on it. The latest thing to come to gaming that might actually work for both people and for developers themselves is streaming. Now, Netflix, as I just mentioned, pays a certain amount every month and you can watch as many movies as you want. There have been multiple attempts at doing streaming gaming service. Now, the immediacy of controls is a big difference between streaming video and streaming gameplay. Speeds of internet haven't really reached their peak yet. Like, not everyone has the speed to play streaming gaming yet. What really needs to happen with video game streaming is that we need to see a cost-effective model that both the players and developers can enjoy. An example of this might be, for example, a virtual console on Nintendo that's streaming. If you pay $5 a month for virtual console games and you can play whatever you want on them, then that might be cost-effective for both the developers and the gamers. If you're paying all year long, 12 months out of the year, then you're paying for essentially one virtual console game a month. Now, how many of you can say you've bought a new virtual console game every month? And there can be different levels of packages. Super Nintendo could add a bit more. The Nintendo 64 package, then the GameCube package, and the Wii package, and like you have this whole range of games. And gamers would be introduced to new games that they have never played before in their lives. Why would somebody buy Neotopia 2, for example, if they can just rent it for as long as they want? A service like PlayStation Now is starting to move a little bit more towards that, but I don't think they've quite found their niche yet. The pricing model is still quite expensive. Developers are so hard fighting against used games and DRM and all that sort of stuff that they do nowadays that it might just be easier to let people stream it so they can continually receive income for a game that nobody is buying anymore. But a lot of those games people still want to play. I'm looking forward to seeing if Nintendo ever tries something like this because honestly, they've got such a huge library of games on the virtual console that they could really make a fortune doing this. It would print money. So the big question still remains, how much should video games cost? Well, the truth is, it's up to you. It's up to you, the gamer. At the end of the day, we have more options for gaming than we've ever had before. AAA titles, premium packs, day passes, rentals, streaming subscription, Gamefly, freemium, free to play. If you don't think a $60 game is worth it, then don't buy it. If you would rather pay up front for a game rather than pay in bits and pieces, pay for it up front. At the end of the day, stop pre-ordering games if you don't know if they're going to be any good or not. Read reviews, go online. We have such a huge amount of information that the only way to ensure that you pay the right amount for games that you want to pay is by voting with your wallet. And that's the real point of things. At the end of the day, you've got to make sure that when you buy a game, it's worth your time and your money. How much do you think games should really cost yourself? Just let me know in the comment box below. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe to this video. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media. I'm at Petros of Sparta on everything. Also, check out my other series, My Life as a Video Game. It's an action-adventure series. This video could not have been possible without Aurora Chantel and Kyle Steiner, who are currently behind the camera. Kyle is dancing right now, that's weird. The opening and closing music and some of the other music in between is by Kevin Penkin, who is awesome. And this show is produced by April Joy Haddad and myself. Well, I hope to see your sexy faces sometime soon.